Ultraviolette Automotive is in a legal battle with Hero Motocorp and Harley Davidson, and I think they might actually win this one. So up until this point, Ultraviolette's naming structure for their high-performance electric motorcycles involved one letter followed by two numbers. So their first motorcycle was the F77, really cool motorcycle, and then September of 2022, they received a trademark for X44. And nobody's quite sure what the X44 actually is. Some people have speculated that it might be a more affordable electric motorcycle because the F77 was on the more expensive side, but it's too early to say at this point. But then Hero Motocorp in November of 2022 shows up and they say, we want that name. And so they have filed for a trademark for X440. So Hero Motocorp has already partnered with Harley Davidson to launch this new motorcycle, the X440, and they've already spent quite a bit of money advertising it, and they've even received more than 25,000 bookings from people who want to buy this motorcycle. So this case is being heard by the Delhi High Court on the 12th of October. The court actually asked Hero Motocorp for an explanation. Remember, Hero Motocorp is the largest manufacturer of two-wheelers in the world, and they gave them until the 26th to respond. And it's hard to say what the motivations here were because up until November of 2022, Ultraviolette was just minding their own business. They weren't looking to pick a fight with the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturer. That would be a very stupid thing to do. But then Hero Motocorp brings that fight to them and decides to file a trademark for a very similar name, just adding a 0 to the end of it. And the thing is, Hero Motocorp could have chosen any other combination of letters and numbers, A22, J55, like literally anything else. And just to put this in context, imagine if a company came along and named their electric scooter the S10. Do you think that Ola Electric would just take that lying down? Probably not. But it looks like Hero Motocorp realizes that they might not win this one because they recently filed trademark for two names, Huracan and Huracan 440. And if you can't tell, I'm rooting for the guys over at Ultraviolette, not just because they're a startup, not just because they're building beautiful electric motorcycles, but because I've actually met Niraj and Narayan personally. I did a podcast with them back in 2021. And if you want to check it out, you can find it up here. All right, next up in the news, Shark Tank India Season 3 is going to have a new shark that a lot of people have never heard of. He's the co-founder and CEO of InShorts, Azhar Iqbal. Now, just because people don't know his face or his name doesn't mean his startup isn't popular. InShorts is used by more than 1.2 crore people in India, which is an incredible number. And just to give you guys a little bit of context about Azhar's story, he got into IIT Delhi and decided to drop out to start InShorts as a Facebook page. This page has now evolved into a multi-million-dollar startup worth $550 million. And here's what Azhar had to say about getting onto Shark Tank India. On Shark Tank India Season 3, I want to tell all the young people of India that where you come from and where you have a degree or not does not matter. And as a college dropout myself, this message really resonated with me, and I do believe that anyone from anywhere, irrespective of their level of education, can be successful in business. But now let's move on to the next news topic here, because Zomato actually ended up in some hot water for a marketing campaign that they didn't actually do. So on the 16th of October, there was this viral video of a woman who seemed to be a Zomato delivery partner on the streets of Indore. And as the tweet blew up, Zomato faced a lot of heat for letting a delivery partner ride without a helmet, and even the MP Police's Twitter handle commented on the tweet asking them to wear a helmet while riding two-wheelers. As it turns out though, this was someone pretending to be Zomato, so Deepinder Goyal actually clarified on Twitter saying that we don't endorse helmetless biking, and also they don't have an Indore marketing head at all. All right, next up in the news, after 5 years at the company, Meesho CXO, Chief Experience Officer Utkrishta Kumar, has decided to step down to start his own company. Now, we don't know much about his new venture apart from the fact that it's going to be something in fintech, but this actually isn't his first time starting up. So back in 2011, he started an e-commerce venture called Mojo Circles, and at Meesho, he was responsible for adding new categories and also growing their top line. He's expected to leave Meesho by December of 2023 or maybe January of 2024, and he was so important to the company that they're going to be splitting up his role into 3 new categories headed by 3 new people. All right, next up in the news, this hasn't yet been confirmed by the company, so take it with a grain of salt, but it looks like it's possible that Gurugram-based Belora Cosmetics is shutting down, or maybe they've already shut down. So Belora Cosmetics is a skincare and makeup brand that sells vegan, toxin-free products, and according to N-Tracker, who broke this story, their website isn't actually operational at the moment, and even their Instagram page hasn't had any new updates since July. And the story here is a familiar one. Despite the fact that they were backed by Peak 15 Partners Surge program, they just weren't able to raise any more funding to fuel their expansion. They had already expanded into 100 stores and they were looking to enter 100 more this year, but they weren't able to get the venture capital to actually continue that expansion. And it seems like things were going pretty well for them up until this point. Their revenue had reached 15 crore rupees in FY22, and their co-founder was actually talking about building Belora into a 500 crore rupee brand in the next 3 to 4 years. It's hard to say what's actually going on here, and their website does say that they're going to be relaunching soon, so maybe they're just hitting pause for now. But anyways, let's move on to the next news item here, because Swiggy, after having their valuation nearly halved by Invesco, has now seen their valuation go up to $8 billion. Back in January of 2022, their peak valuation was $10.7 billion when they raised $700 million in investment, but then their investor Invesco cut their valuation to as low as $5.5 billion in May of 2023. Now, though, Swiggy's valuation is up to $8 billion, and it looks like this has a lot to do with Zomato's rising stock prices because, of course, investors often compare similar companies like Swiggy and Zomato, and also, Swiggy has actually managed to gain back some market share from Zomato, beating Zomato's growth over the months of July and August consecutively. All right, next up, let's move into the funding news segment. $197 million have been raised by Indian startups this week, which is up from last week's $177 million. And this is actually a pretty good sign for the overall startup ecosystem. It seems like things have been improving over the last couple of weeks when it comes to venture capital, but a bulk of this funding went to Zetwork, a manufacturing unicorn that connects OEMs with smaller manufacturers. So they raised $120 million in their Series F round, but their valuation has remained flat at $2.7 billion. Next up, we have wealth and asset management platform Neo. They raised $35 million. And then finally, we have space tech startup Agnikul Cosmos, which is building space launch vehicles. They raised $26.7 million in their Series B round. Also, I would just love to have the founders of Agnikul Cosmos over for a podcast to talk about the story of their company if they're interested. I know they're based in Chennai, so it would be a little bit of a trip. But also, if you guys could leave a comment down below and let me know which founders you want me to invite over for Millionaire Mondays to sit down with and talk about their startup journeys, that would actually be really helpful for me and the Backstage with Millionaires team, because there's so many incredible founders out there and we just don't know who to actually reach out to, which founders you guys are actually interested in hearing the stories of. So that would be amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.